It is Monday, and you all know what that means. It is time to continue our off-season outlook shows. Tonight, we're going to visit the NFC West. Also, we have a trade to break down that involves a team from the NFC West and a team from the NFC. So do us a favor, kick back, relax, because it's Monday evening and 6:09 Sports Talk starts. What do you know? Right now. And once again, good evening all, and welcome back to another edition of 609 Sports Talk live here on Facebook and, of course, on YouTube. And you already know the drill. If you cannot see these episodes live, they drop every Wednesday on Spotify. As always, this is the show that unites fans, ignites debate, and nothing further.
Okay.
As always, we are your hosts, Cam Nelson, Tyler Adams. Mr. Adams, how are we on this beautiful Monday evening?
It is another successful double victory Monday. We got to celebrate not only another Monday winning of being Super Bowl champions,
No.
We also
I'm
get
cutting you
to
off.
enjoy. We also get to enjoy the departure of the Eagles legend, Bryce Huff.
No, it is not a double victory Monday. You know why? Because that's been nulled. Because Saquon's on the cover of Madden.
It's okay.
He got us. Not. He got us. So it doesn't matter what happens to be on there.
Exactly.
Oh my God. Terrible. First off, before we do get into, I guess, whatever we were going to talk about first, we do have to point out that we are 2 episodes away from the big 5-0. 48, well, currently in episode 48, but 48 up, 48 down. It's been a heck of a ride. So, but we'll get into that in 2 weeks to celebrate that. But, yes, Tyler, you kind of broke the first segment. We do have a trade to break down. Because just moments ago, right before we went live, it's been made official. The Philadelphia Eagles have traded away this guy, everyone's favorite pass rusher,
Josh Huff?
Bryce Huff.
Oh.
Bryce Huff has been traded to the San Francisco 49ers for a mid-round 2026 draft pick. Now, they've not come out with the specifics of the draft pick, which is already alarming me that it's probably a conditional draft pick, a la what we saw in the Hassan Reddick trade last offseason with the Jets. So, I guess I got to ask the question. First off, get Bryce Huff off our screens. I think we see enough of him we see enough of him in Philly.
No, we didn't see enough of him. He was on the screen there more than I saw him on my TV watching the games this season.
Listen, he's the first $50 million man to get a Super Bowl ring while using PTO. But Tyler, what are our thoughts on the Bryce Huff trade and what went wrong during his time in Philly? You can choose where you start this conversation.
First off, what's up, Carol?
What's up, Carol?
Joining us from YouTube today.
Oh my God, she flipped up on me.
Love to see it. But, oh man, I was hating to think about this topic because I have nothing good to say about Bryce Huff and his time in Philadelphia.
Really?
He was on a roster with, I would say, loads of opportunity to succeed. One of the best defensive coordinators in the league, who elevated the play of many players. Let's use a quick example. Zach Bond, a guy who was never a starter and almost became Defensive Player of the Year. Now, Bryce Huff, he came from New York. Do you happen to recall his sack total from the year prior?
He had 10 sacks his last year with the Jets and 67 pressures and limited snaps.
Yeah. So, as you can see, we were expecting to get a solid Hassan Reddick replacement out of him. Now, fast forward the rest of the season. First off, he stinks. Second off, he got hurt. Then when he finally came back, he still stunk. Then he got hurt again. And then he still stunk. And then we make it all the way through when he's healthy again, when we're in our postseason stretch. He barely sees the field.
Including being a healthy scratch in the Super Bowl.
Exactly. I'm coming to the realization that if you can't succeed and at least be average under Vic Fangio, I don't know if you're going to succeed anywhere. Now, I get it. This is the best situation for Bryce Huff. He's going back to play under the defensive coordinator, who was his defensive-minded head coach back in New York. So I've always praised Saleh for how he has his defenses playing, no matter if he's the coordinator or the head coach. Always had great defensive units. So this is the best situation for Bryce Huff, going to the 49ers to play underneath him again. And the 49ers, they could use a little extra help. I know they made some good draft picks, but they could always use a little bit extra veteran help if they can get it from him. I don't know. Will Saleh be able to get him back to that? He doesn't even have to be a 10-sack player. If they could just get like 7 or 8 out of him behind Nick Bosa, sure. That's pretty productive for your defensive front. Anthony says it ain't rare for a cornerback to win defensive player.
Go ask the guy in Denver.
Yeah.
That guy's pretty good.
Yeah. He's pretty good. Vaughn got snubbed. Wasn't the flashy name. I stand by that.
Denver Broncos YouTube video dropping on Thursday, by the way, for anybody who's interested.
Oh.
Sam's been putting in the work over here, okay?
It's about the defense?
Of course it's about the damn defense. I'm a defensive freaking numbskull. I love talking about teams' defenses.
But yeah.
All right, so
that's about all I got to say about Bryce Huff. I personally don't care to talk about him that much. I don't think it's a big loss for the Eagles. I don't think it's a loss at all. I actually think it's helpful having that extra locker open up in the locker room.
Well, here's the thing. Essentially, Bryce Huff was brought here to be the quote-unquote Hassan Reddick replacement. That's what he was brought here to be, or at least to help fill some of the void left behind once they traded Reddick. Now, yes, I understand Reddick was still on the roster when the Eagles signed Bryce Huff. They weren't keeping both. We knew this already. They chose to give Bryce Huff the $51 million instead of just extending Hassan Reddick, which honestly, if you're looking at it futuristically now, it's the right decision because Hassan Reddick now is a shell of what he was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So give or take however you want to take that, but this was a guy that was supposed to come in and be that top edge rusher on your depth chart. And he turned into the fact that he was your number 4 at some point. If he was one at all. I mean,
yeah. I don't even know if he was 4.
Well, yeah, he was maybe number 4 when Brandon Graham was hurt. But then Brandon Graham only had one arm. It turned out to be better.
Let's see. Nolan Smith had more sacks than him. This would load. Hello? Okay.
Did Jalen Hunt have more sacks than him?
I'll let you know in 1 second.
Are you bringing up Jalen his numbers?
Jalen Hunt had a sack and a half. I was trying to bring up Jordan Davis's, but
no, bring up.
Does not want to load.
Wait, how many did Jalen Hunt have?
Jalen Hunt had 1.5.
All right, Huff had 2.5.
Jalen Carter 4.5.
Oh, so Anthony wanted to bring up saying about he means a cornerback winning over a linebacker or an edge rusher is rare. Yeah, Anthony, you can definitely make that case. But I'll tell you why the corner won this year. That's because the second best defensive player on the list was a linebacker from Philly, and we don't like giving Philly too many awards over here.
Yeah.
Trust me, if Fred Warner had better stats than Zach Bond, he would have won it again. No, I guarantee you. I'll put the guarantee in.
I'm not saying you're wrong.
Take that to Vegas for me, why don't you? But now, if we want to look at this with Bryce Huff, first off, I don't personally think from day one Bryce Huff was ever a fit for Vic Fangio's team. Because the other problem with Bryce Huff was, yes, the 10 sacks and 67 how many pressures he had against when he was with the Jets in his final year, that came with a very limited snap count. The reason Bryce Huff was in a limited snap count his final year in New York, because he has absolutely doggy droppings against the run. And we saw that firsthand here. Didn't take you 3 games to tell you that.
Yep.
Hassan Reddick at least was willing to go against the run. Bryce Huff, I don't even think Bryce Huff don't know what a running back is. So, not to mention, if you go watch Vic Fangio's scheme, go watch it in Chicago, go watch it in Denver, go watch it anywhere. Watch it in this past year in Philly. His edge rushers don't necessarily stick their hand in the ground and start out low. They are more of their edge rushers in his system stand up high, and they just rush off the edge. They don't put their hands in the ground. Well, putting his hands in the ground was one of Bryce Huff's strengths. That's what Saleh had him doing most of his time, his final year there in New York. Vic Fangio doesn't run his edge rushers like that. So ultimately, Bryce Huff was already behind the needle in training camp with Vic Fangio. And Vic just seemed never to have the confidence to put Huff out there, because even people were saying middle of the year when this contract was looking worse and worse by the day, people were like, well, make him a third down pass rush specialist. I couldn't even succeed doing that if you tried.
Nope.
And, I hate to flaw the guy's contract year in New York, but that's what it was. He played well in a contract year, and going back and watching the tape, 6 of his 10 sacks came against backup offensive linemen or where he was blocked by a running back. I would surely hope you could get past a running back.
Yeah. 6'3", 250.
Yeah, I would hope if when you're that size you could do that. And the problem is, people, once again, they viewed him as the Hassan Reddick replacement. The difference was Hassan Reddick had a track record before he came to the Eagles. Hassan Reddick was a off-ball linebacker who was not and he wasn't good at it when he came into the league. When he came out of Temple, he just wasn't a good off-ball linebacker. So in his final year in Arizona, the Cardinals decided, we're going to make you a pass rusher. And that was it. Because then for a 4-year run, there were not many better pass rushers than Hassan Reddick. He had 12 his last year in Arizona, 11 in his lone season in Carolina. Then, of course, we know he came to Philadelphia, and we know what he became, 16 and a half sacks the one year. Then he had 11 his last year. he had a little bit of a track record going before coming to Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Bryce Huff had a decent season in limited snaps.
A decent, like you said, decent season. He didn't set the world on fire. He didn't have 15 or more sacks. He had 10 sacks. And that was the risky part about Bryce Huff that everyone talked about leading up to the season last year, is we brought in this guy to trust as our Hassan Reddick replacement when he only had one good season. Not one great season, one good season. And his track record since he was drafted in 2020, he had 2 sacks then, 2 sacks in 2021, 3.5 sacks in 2022, 10 sacks, 2.5. So where he goes from here, who knows? Zolt, I love your comment.
That's just Zolt. That's just terrible. Don't do that. Don't do that to George already. So early in the week. He's allowed to do dueling aces tomorrow. Of course, I think George has it starting on West Coast time.
No. Picture
watching a Dodgers game on the East Coast.
Oh, God. 1 o'clock?
Yeah, right. Anthony said, one thing I know is the Eagle fans credit their players, but once they leave, you trash the safe.
Well, here's the thing, Anthony. He never got credit.
Anthony, the guy was a $50 million free agent signing, and he was so bad when he was on the field. He was a healthy scratch in the Super Bowl. They drafted an edge rusher in the 3rd round of last year's draft, who just the 2 seasons prior, when he started his collegiate career, was a safety. And he was a more polished pass rusher than Bryce Huff. Don't look at all the guys we've lost. We haven't trashed one of them. I don't see me trashing guys like Milton Williams and Isaiah Rodgers.
Yeah. Now, I think the one he's probably thinking of is CJ, which
I'm not trashing. Okay.
CJ has his own uniqueness to it.
All I said with CJ Gardner-Johnson, I love CJ Gardner-Johnson, the football player. But you got to start looking into some things when you are 27 years old and you are now going to your 4th team in 4 years. You were traded from the Saints. The Eagles chose not to re-sign you the first time. The Lions were done with you after a year. The Eagles were done with you after a year. Oh, Anthony! What kind of freaking comparison is that?
That's a bad comparison, because there's actually 2 sides to that. You have the people who still love and defend Wentz, like Sam, which no fault to you. Not trying
here's where I'm at.
I am one of the critics about
get hurt. Listen, if he doesn't get hurt, we're having totally different conversations right now.
Yeah, but I am one of the Wentz critics. And guess what? He stinks now.
Yeah, now he's out of the league.
But I'll always give him credit. We would have never won the Super Bowl in 2017 without him.
Agreed.
Without him, without Nick, wouldn't happen.
Yeah, I don't listen to those people that say, oh, well, Nick could have done in 13 games what Carson did. No, he couldn't have.
Nope.
Nick's not that type of player.
Halfway through that season, Carson Wentz was the clear MVP.
I had 33 touchdowns in 13 games.
Yeah.
Matt said he never gave off any credit last year. He never deserved any.
No one gave him credit.
Results, to be fair, I tracked Wentz and we never had it.
Wentz is like that guy that, like, what could have been if things didn't happen.
Well, it's funny.
I don't even think it is only the injury. It's like, I feel like he never mentally came back from any of the injuries that he suffered.
I don't know how a Bryce Huff trade to the 49ers is turning into a Carson Wentz talk, but
Carson Wentz finds his way into every conversation.
Somehow. Carson Wentz, from that moment, Okay? From the moment he got hurt, there was a mental disconnect between him and the Philadelphia Eagles organization. I just watched a clip last night of Alshon Jeffrey talking about, when they were in practice and they were watching Jalen, they said you knew he had it. He was ripping our defense apart, and he was the scout team's quarterback, and he was ripping them to shreds. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't Alshon Jeffrey signed in 2017 to be Carson Wentz's number one wide receiver?
Yep.
That's the point. The fact that the guy that was brought here to be Carson's number one, Deshaun Jackson's done the same thing. He's going on there talking about that they knew Jalen Hurts had it in him from the moment practice in 2020. Carson Wentz just completely fell apart after that knee injury.
Yep.
And Jalen was just right place, right time. And honestly, the Eagles knew something we didn't at the time.
I knew it. There is no we.
No,
There's
I'm talking
you.
before. No, I'm not talking about Jalen. First of all, no. I'm talking about they knew something about Carson before they took Jalen. That's what I'm talking about. They knew something we didn't. They took a gamble on something, and it's worked out. Now, guys, let's be real now. Carson Wentz isn't even good enough to back up Patrick Mahomes. Carson Wentz single-handedly led the Denver Broncos in the freaking playoffs last year. It's for him now. It's all here, and he has not gotten past what's happened.
He never will.
Oh, Matt, I know Matt's having a very fun beginning to his summer. I'm not. I'm sort of not.
You gotta wait till you get Bryce Boy back.
Yeah, tell him to put some ice on his elbow. Get on the damn field.
Why don't you go out and ice it for him?
Terrible. But no, back to the Bryce Huff thing. If the writing wasn't on the wall for you with him in Philly after the Super Bowl, it was definitely there after the offseason started when they added 3 new edge rushers. And this was after they lost Josh Sweat and Brandon Graham. And they still feel comfortable getting rid of Bryce Huff. Matt, the Dodgers can't field a pitching staff right now. Same old Dodgers every year. We're here talking about pitching injuries. But no, when they entered the offseason, we were already concerned about, all right, what are they going to do with edge rusher? Sweat's probably going to leave. BG's going to retire. So it was like, all right, we're going in with Huff, Hunt, Smith. Okay, I've seen worse trios. Then they signed Josh Uche, and you're like, okay, that's a camp. That could potentially just be a camp body. Yeah. Then they signed Azeez Ojulari, which, by the way, may go down as one of my favorite signings of the offseason.
That may be my favorite. Big impact.
Oh yeah, he's going to fill the role that you thought Bryce Huff could try to fill in after you realized he wasn't a 3-down player. Anybody who thought Bryce Huff was a 3-down player when he came to Philadelphia, I was sadly mistaken. You were reaching. But Ojulari is I think he's like that first edge off the bench, that pass rush third down specialist. That's what he was doing with the Giants. And then they ended up drafting the kid, Powell Ryland, out of Virginia Tech, and he had some ridiculous sack numbers over in college. So
the only thing is to see how it translates, because that was always the concern. Because you look at how many sacks he had in college, and you're like, how does this guy not go in the first or second round? But it's because Virginia Tech and a lot of the opponents he was going up against were undersized. So
as a day.
Yeah, exactly. So going up against some big boys at the NFL level, we'll have to see how it translates. Now, he does have a lot of good raw traits that I think will translate well, so I'm not too worried. But, yeah, I'm excited. I mean, Azeez Ojulari brings a more proven track record than Bryce Huff. His rookie year, 2021, 8 sacks. Followed it up the next year, 5.5. Only playing 7 games. 5.5 in 7 games. He almost averaged a sack a game. Then he only played 11 games in 2023, had 2.5 sacks, so it was a down year. And then only last year played 11 games again and had 6 sacks. So there's a little bit of a worry with the durability because he hasn't played a full season since his rookie year, but he's not being asked to come in as a starter. He's going to be a rotational piece. What do we always say? That's the best way to keep guys healthy, is rotating them in and out.
And I want to start off with Matt's comment before I give you my opinion on that, because he's saying that Howie's up to something, whether he trades for Watt or Hendrickson or he signs Miller or someone, he's going to make a move with. They say that they have $40 million in cap space, but then somebody said that there's not. They somehow didn't free up $15 million technically. I'm like, okay, technically that. They saved money. Who cares? I don't care how much it is. They saved money, even if it's not $40 million right now in cap space. Because now, remember, it's now June 2nd. So the Darius Slay and James Bradbury money is off the books now. I don't see a magnitude of a Watt or Hendrickson move because both guys are currently wanting new contracts, and the Philadelphia Eagles ain't giving no one on the defensive side of the football a new contract
until Jalen Card.
Yeah, because that's going to set you back a couple bucks.
Yep.
And
then you still got to consider when Jordan Davis's contract comes around. Because I think he's one of the best run-stopping defensive tackles in the league.
We need to make a shirt about that, by the way. We need to make a shirt saying we are tired of explaining Jordan Davis's role. I am tired of that. What's up, Friday?
What's up, James?
But no, I personally, and here's the thing. Now, Matt brings up Von Miller. Von Miller is actually I would have no issue bringing in Von Miller as, honestly, kind of like a BG type replacement there.
Yeah. You know what that actually kind of reminds me of? When we had Chris Long later in his career.
Yeah. Anthony, I don't care what kind of cap hits we take in a year. Howie Rose is my GM. I don't care about what cap hits we have to take or not take.
Howie's going to take that cap hit and push it to 2050.
Yeah, I'll have grandkids by the time that cap hit affects us. So, here are some notable names available for edge rushers. DeMarcus Walker. Jadeveon Clowney, who was just released by the Panthers a few weeks ago. Both the Smith brothers, Preston and Zadarius.
I wouldn't mind Zadarius. He's been pretty reliable on teams he's been in over the past few years.
And then, of course, Matt brought up Von Miller, and then you also have Matthew Judon. You know, I hate to say it, if we're past the whole 2019 thing, I'm not out on the possibility of bringing Clowney in for a year.
So funny you brought that up because I actually pulled up his stats because I wanted to look at it more. Over the last 4 years, since he's been with Cleveland, he had a 9-sack season. Then he only played 12 games in 2022, had 2 sacks. Major down year, but it's the Browns. Baltimore came in and got 9.5 sacks in his 1 year with Baltimore. And then last year at Carolina, 5.5. Another guy. You put him into the rotation, he's not going to be asked to start every down. Rotational pass rusher, he can still get production too.
Now, the shittiest thing in the world will be not only has the guy who took Carson Wentz's job won a Super Bowl, how shitty would it be if the guy that basically knocked him out of Philadelphia got one?
Sam, stop.
That would be some shit.
Same, stop.
I'm a man of the people. I'm just bringing up scenarios, okay?
Are you trying to ignite fans right now?
I think I'm trying to ignite some debate. But here's the other thing, right? We're talking about this. This just goes to show you. Now, look, Eagles OTAs was last week. This is just going to show you how high this team is on Nolan Smith and Jalix Hunt.
Yep.
I mean, you don't know if Smith had a great year in the regular season, but he became a superstar in the playoffs. The guy had 4 sacks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Nolan Smith became a budding star in the postseason last year, and we didn't know what Jalix Hunt would be in year 1. And he came out to being a pretty damn big role player on this team, especially in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Like, I'm going into next year, those are my starters. And now, but I could see them still adding another edge rusher because outside of Ojulari, we don't know what Power Island's going to be in the NFL. And I don't know what Joshua Uche is right now in the NFL. I don't even know if Uche makes the team. So I'm comfortably confident another edge rusher is coming. Yeah, man, he was. He literally just started being a pass rusher his final year in college.
Yeah.
He started as a safety. And that, once again, just goes to show, this is what I'm talking about. This is why I'm excited to see guys like Ojulari with Vic Fangio. Because look what this guy did with Jalix Hunt in year 1. Look what he did with Nolan Smith in year 2. Ojulari's already got a resume as a pretty solid pass rusher. And Tyler, I remember we had our free agency shows right before the offseason started. Ojulari was the name I brought up a lot.
Oh, yeah.
That was a guy I had targeting. But I could expect another edge rusher because of the fact that I'm only confident in the first 3.
Yeah.
I don't know about the other 2.
I still think a real scenario could be a guy that you always talk about that's still out there, Justin Simmons. Going away from the edge rushing aspect of it. I mean, bringing a veteran safety into the room.
Why not one of each? What about Simmons and Clowney? We call it a day.
Oh, yeah. I mean, with how much cap space they have, that should be no problem. Clowney is not going to command you more than, what, $8 million for a year?
And if that's too much, go bring Von Miller in. Von said he wants to play one more year, and he's played with Vic in his system.
Yeah, true.
And Von had 6 sacks last year in Buffalo. He's still productive.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said again, put him in that BG role, limited snaps. Von Miller was always a guy I wanted to see in Philly. But now, before we look at this, oh yeah, man, I'm on board too. This will be the best defensive football again, even though I still think it is. I think it's lost a little bit of depth in some areas, but I still trust in it. But
oh yeah,
let me please put this to all my Eagle fans. I am not telling you this again after tonight. I'm not talking about this in training camp. I'm not talking about this in the preseason. I'm not talking about this in the regular season. I'm going to say this one time and one time only. Jahad Campbell is not a bleeping edge rusher. He is an off-ball linebacker who can get after the quarterback on occasion. He is not Micah freaking Parsons. Okay? Can we please stop that?
What if they turn him into Micah Parsons?
Then I just completely ignited myself in the flame. Then clip this and we can go back to looking how stupid I look. But right now, he's going to be an off-ball linebacker because right now we do not have 2 healthy off-ball linebackers because even he's still recovering from his shoulder injury.
Yeah. What is Dean's timetable looking like?
Dean said his recovery is going well. You know what he actually he actually got into He apparently got into ballet.
Really?
Yeah, it's helping him recover. It's helping him rehab his knee.
If I see this man busting out some ballet moves and he's got like 3 interceptions and 5 sacks next year, I'm going to question everything. I won't be mad. I'll be happy, but I'm just going to question everything.
If N'Kobe Dean recovers from a quad injury of that magnitude with ballet, somebody better get Joel and beat some ballerina shoes.
I could only, dude, with his uncoordinated, clumsy self, never.
Oh, Matt, trust me.
Yeah. I'm waiting.
Matt, do you see the size of him?
I can't wait to hear, camp really get underway to hear more about him.
He's killing tackle sleds, apparently.
Oh.
Well, let's also be fair with Matt's comment about Ty Robinson. Matt, Ty Robinson equals about, 5 of you? It would take 5 Matts to complete 1 Ty Robinson. But, no, Ty Robinson is somebody, we're talking like potentially, Ojamo better be careful in training camp.
Yeah.
Even though I'm expecting Ojamo to have a big year. I'm expecting this defensive line to just eat.
Oh, yeah. And
however,
the one core piece that just makes it so much easier for the rest of the pass rushers is Jalen Carter.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, let's be real here. And I'm not knocking it. Because Anthony tried to say we knock players. I'm not knocking Milton Williams. Milton Williams got paid because he played next to Jalen Carter.
Yeah. Jalen Carter, at minimum, gets double-teamed every play. Sometimes they throw an extra blocker at him to make it 3. So if he's at least getting double-teamed every play, there's going to be one-on-ones the rest of the line.
Yeah. We thought Fletcher Cox was getting double-teamed a lot here. Jalen Carter may have doubled that total in 2 years.
Probably did.
Like, Jalen Carter is the definition of an anchor to your defense. Everything around him, you get better.
Yep.
It's more one-on-one opportunities for guys like Nolan Smith. It's more one-on-one opportunities for guys like Moro Ojomo. And it's going to be a lot of one-on-ones for guys like Ty Robinson, who is basically, I'm afraid, if I was a tackle sled, I'd be scared. But, all right, now let's look to the other side of this now. Now let's get into our NFC West offseason outlook, and let's move this over to the 49ers side. I mean, like you did say, you brought up earlier that, Bryce Huff did have a successful year with Robert Saleh. And the Niners are not very deep when it comes to defensive ends. They've got Bosa. Michael Williams is going to start day 1, which when you're a top 12 draft pick, I hope you start day 1. But before trading for Bryce Huff, the only thing they really had was Yetur Gross-Matos, the former Carolina Panther and former Penn State standout. So they kind of needed some depth along their defensive line. And the one thing the Niners really needed to improve on was their run defense, and they went and did that with getting Alfred Collins and C.J. West. So I don't know. Since we're moving into our NFC West offseason outlook here, we might as well start while we're on the Niners. I don't really know what they are this year.
The Niners?
I don't know who they are this year.
I'm going to say this. I think with how much work Saleh's been putting in on the defensive side.
I know we're the Niners, but
yeah, second highest pressure rate. I know, man. And that was being a rotational guy.
Second highest win rate besides Chris Jones, everybody.
Yeah. So,
but will be the next guy to get $120 million.
I think the Niners' identity next year, I think it's going to go back to what we saw a few years ago. Really good defense and basically an offense that controls the pace of the game. Whether it's running the football, short passes, I think they're going to be very methodical next year.
Yeah, I mean,
and Zolt's got a great point too.
he does have a good point. They do have the easiest schedule in the league next year.
So yeah, they're fantasy football heads. You might want to take a look at the 49ers defense if available.
But just looking at what they still have Isaac Orendo with McCaffrey.
Yeah.
The biggest question is going to be, and continue to be, is their wide receiver room. Ayuk's coming back from a major knee injury. They still have Jawan Jennings, who they haven't given a contract to. Ricky Pearsall hurt his hamstring in OTAs last week. He's not going to be back on the field till training camp now. They still have Kittle. Their offensive line still concerns me a lot. They just gave Brock Purdy a ton of money.
Yeah.
But no, if you look at their their starting defensive line, it literally potentially could be Nick Bosa and the rookies. There could be a friggin' 90s boy band called Nick Bosa and the Rookies, because you're looking at Nick Bosa, Alfred Collins, DJ West, and Michael Williams. I don't know who else would start on the Niners right now. Because the one issue they had last year with having Javon Hargrave and Malik Collins as their starters, they weren't stopping the run.
Yep.
So, I don't know if Jordan Elliott may start for them. He did start 13 games last year, but gave them 19 tackles and no sacks. So, I don't know if that's going to help. I mean, he's a solid depth piece, but
yeah.
I mean, they had Khalil Davis. He appeared in 13 games, had 12 tackles. Like, they ain't much depth behind that. They have Evan Anderson, who appeared in 12 games, had 24 tackles, 1 sack. Like, I'm sorry, I'm just starting CJ West and Alfred Collins off the rip and see what happens. There ain't much depth outside of that.
Basically.
And now, of course, they have to come up with a long-term replacement for Dre Greenlaw, because once again, they still got, in my eyes, they still have the best middle linebacker in football.
Yeah,
I know Zach Baldwin was amazing last year. I know
consistent is Fred Warner.
Exactly. Fred Warner is pound for pound the best middle linebacker in the sport. I've always said he is the leader of that defense, but Dre Greenlaw is the heart and soul of that defense. And I said when the YouTube video drops on Thursday, I bring up a very big point of, if Dre Greenlaw is healthy in Denver, you're opening up a whole new can of worms with the Broncos defense. Because we watched the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Did you see that 49ers team when they saw Dre Greenlaw leave the field when he got hurt? It sucked the life right out of the entire sideline.
Yep.
Anthony, I will not disagree with this one bit, because if it weren't for Brock Purdy, the entire front office would have been fired.
Yeah, that is true.
And then, of course, if you look at the Niners secondary, Jairi Brown is going to be one of their starting safeties. It was probably going to be him and Malik Mustafa, but now we don't know Mustafa's health heading into the season.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he tore his ACL in the final week of the season. We just found out a few months ago. So, and then they also lost Ward in their secondary. They did draft Upton Stout, who is a smaller corner. Not sure where he'll play into their secondary plans. Another guy that they really like is the linebacker they took, Nick Martin. They may view him as a possible Greenlaw replacement. They also have D. Winters, who may start out early in the season, but I think the Niners' success next year, with the way they're constructed, is going to come down to two things. Can Robert Saleh get that defense back on track, and is Brock Purdy the guy you're paying all this money to? Now, I don't know what your opinions are on that, but Brock Purdy's got to think. Look, it was nice being the guy on the rookie contract with all them weapons. Now you got to start doing some winning with some lesser weapons.
So that is true. but you have to dial it back and look at what the roots are of the 49ers. There's a reason why they haven't found their big flashy quarterback that can take over and control a game. It's because Shanahan does such a great job of running the football and developing any running back into a capable weapon. I mean, you're looking at a depth chart of seemingly a healthy Christian McCaffrey, a budding second year of Isaac Grendo, and they just drafted Jordan James, who I think has some potential coming out of Oregon too, going to a perfect head coach to develop him. The run game could look a little scary for them. Now, offensive line is a little weak. Trent Williams, he's already hurt. He's always hurt. I just feel like he just plays through everything.
Trent Williams becoming Jason Peters.
Whatever Ben Barch is, I don't know what a Ben Barch is. A Jake Brendel, Dominic Pooney, Colton McKivitt. I have no idea who these guys are. I've never heard of them. Like a bunch of rookie and second year players. So that part will be interesting. I don't know how their offensive line is going to look at all. But with Brock Purdy, I don't think it's going to take a lot for him to succeed in the way that the 49ers want them to. I think he'll be able to control the game. I think he's a good game manager. And that's all he is. But he'll be able to win you some games. He'll make the short passes. Don't rely on him to, dial up a deep ball to win you a game. But
I got some news. We have officially found out the compensation for the Bryce Huff trade.
Bag of chips. Great deal.
It is a 2026 conditional 5th round pick that can turn into a 4th round pick. The conditions are tied to his performance, those are tied to his performances, all pending physical. So it's a 5th round, nothing worse than a 5th. This son of a bitch got Bryce Huff out of here got me a 5th, potentially a 4th round pick. I wouldn't have gave you a 7th. Hold on, Anthony. Look, Anthony's making us do trivia. Quick, take your top 5 middle linebackers right now. All right, Tyler, let's go to work.
In honor of Harry Roseman. Rest of the show.
Top 5 middle linebackers right now.
Oh, top 5 right now. Fred Warner, B-Wags, Bond. I'm not going in a particular order. I don't know if you are. I'm just kind of throwing the names out there.
Roquan Smith.
I'd throw Roquan in there. He'd probably be my 5th if I was ranking them. 4th.
Oh, I think right now he's better than B-Wag. Right now.
Okay. Who else?
You could throw Nakobe Dean in this conversation based on the last year.
He did play really well. I want to try and
TJ Edwards.
TJ Edwards, yeah.
This is tougher than you think.
This is always the thing with middle linebackers. It's not a deep list. There's usually only like 1 or 2 guys that are really good and they're great, and then the rest are just, it is what it is.
Levante David.
I would put Levante David in there. I would. He's been a real core piece to those Tampa Bay defenses. I think that's a
honorable mention. Pat Queen.
Pat Queen, yeah. I feel like maybe
Mario Davis.
Yeah, Demario Davis, he's solid. Mosley,
Moses is a free agent right now.
yeah, Mosley's kind of like going on a downward trend. Like he's not getting terrible, but he's like I feel like he already peaked.
Yeah.
But no, honestly, I mean, yeah, that's kind of tough to pick a top
If I had
five.
to go,
It kind of falls
if
off.
I had to go, I'm going to go my top 5 right now. I'm going to go Warner, Vaughn, Smith, Wagner, and Levante David. I'm giving Levante David for longevity. That brother's been balling in Tampa forever.
Yeah, he has.
Honorable mention, Devin White.
Yeah, back when he was on Tampa. Yeah, honorable mention there.
Who had a better Eagles career, Devin White or Bryce Huff?
Well, let's see. One actually got to play. The other one just lost his job in training camp and never saw the field.
Training camp? He lost his job at OTAs, buddy. But all right, let's do we have any more thoughts on the 49ers?
Not much. I definitely think they're also taking into consideration their strength of schedule this season. I think they're going to be back in probably the top 5 of NFC teams. Probably be up there, maybe top 6. But it's going to be interesting because I don't know if I take them as a favorite to win their division. I don't think they're explosive enough to take their division.
Let me ask you this one. Is this a make or break year for Shanahan, or do you think?
It's going to come down to how healthy the team is. If they start getting a lot of injuries for core components of their team, he'll probably get a free pass. But aside from that, everyone's healthy. You got back your top defensive coordinator that you lost a few years back. He's back in town. He's revamping the defense. I mean, it kind of is like win now mode. Like they have to make a run in the postseason. And that has to start with them winning their division. But they're not my favorite to win their division.
They're not mine either. All right, well, let's move on to another team out that the Niners have that they love to talk about. Why don't we talk about the Seattle Seahawks? The Seahawks have definitely gone through some overturn in terms of their roster.
Seahawks are interesting.
I mean, let's talk about that. I mean, they clearly thought that what they had going wasn't going to be good enough. They shipped Geno off to Vegas. They shipped DK off to frickin'
to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And I mean,
they just straight up released Tyler Lockett.
Yeah, which was kind of shocking. Dude was just always there, always reliable. They didn't miss games.
And now he's in Tennessee.
Yep. But this Seattle, let's start with their offense. Because I feel like that's the biggest shakeup, starting with Sam Darnold. You're bringing in Sam Darnold, who last year had his career resurgence, like Geno had when he went to Seattle. They're getting the quarterback who threw for 4,300 yards, 35 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, and had probably one of the worst 2-game performances that bounced them from the playoffs. Lost their division and knocked them out of the playoffs. Back-to-back weeks. So you're hoping he can kind of put that past him. I think this is probably one of the better Seattle offensive lines we've seen put together in like the last decade. They drafted
No
the
argument.
kid Zabel. They got Charles Cross. He's been a pretty solid left tackle for a few years now. I'm not too familiar with the other guys. And they got a 5th-round pick from 2023 starting at center. I don't know how I feel about that. Got a
They
third
still have
round
work to
pick
do.
right guard. It's not perfect, but from some of the offensive lines they used to put together, it's probably one of the better ones.
It can't be worse than what they used to put out there with Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson's probably looking like, damn, y'all couldn't have got this for me.
I'm very interested by them taking Jalen Milroe. That's where I want to start right now with them as their quarterback position because I like what they did with Sam Darnold. Look, the Seahawks clearly saw what they had wasn't working. Geno was fine. What they were doing was fine, but it wasn't competing with the Niners or the Rams.
Yeah.
And then when we saw the Darnold deal, it's like, it's only 3 years. You can easily see them getting out of that deal after year 2. And I always said this. When we were watching the draft and doing our live shows, we're sitting there. I'm like, I like Jalen Milroe going somewhere he doesn't have to play right away. Jalen Milroe is a special runner. He can run the football as a quarterback. There are a lot of traits that compare him to Lamar. I see where people see those comparisons. Do not talk to me about Jalen Milroe, the passer, right now. A lot of work still has to be done in those areas. So I kept saying to myself, I really don't want him going. Like, I remember the biggest rumor was, he's going first pick in the second round to Cleveland. I'm like, but the problem is with Cleveland is they're going to want him to play right away. And I don't want, first of all, that death, taxes, Browns quarterback. What all 3 of those cause? Stress level. But anyway, I didn't want to see him starting in a place like Cleveland because I don't think he's a day one starter right now. I feel like Seattle is a perfect place for him because he could sit a year or two behind Sam Darnold and work out his development with his passing game and see where it goes from there. Plus, McDonald, the Seahawks coach, he was in Baltimore with Lamar. He watched Lamar develop. So I don't want to see Milroe. I like what this is doing. I like seeing Milroe. And it's not like Milroe even has to be the backup right now. They have Drew Lock for that. So it's a perfect situation for Milroe to go there and sit behind Darnold for a year or two. And if Darnold's playing well for those 2 years, I'm sure there's going to be a quarterback-needy team that'll take on one more year of him.
Yeah.
I'm sure Pittsburgh will be calling for him in 2 years, so you'll be good to go. Rodgers is going to retire. Pittsburgh's going to go with Mason Rudolph for 2 years. Then they're going to realize that he stinks, and then they'll be calling you for Sam Darnold and offering you a first-round pick. But no, I like the quarterback situation. I like and it makes the Darnold contract make sense because I'm sitting here like, how he only gets 3 years? I know he only had 1 good year, but that's strange to me that Kirk Cousins got that lucrative of a deal, and Darnold, who I think Darnold's had his year last year was probably better than Cousins' last about 3 years, but I personally didn't expect. I thought Darnold would have got a 4 or 5 year deal, and taking only a 3 year deal, it made sense for the Seahawks because they still get their guy in Milroe, and it makes sense for Darnold.
Yep.
Now, the biggest question I have about Sam Darnold, what Sam Darnold is this? Because I hate to break it to Sam Darnold, Kevin O'Connell is not walking through them doors.
Nope. That's it. I mean,
Anthony said Seahawks would have had a better duo with DK there, but it's yeah.
DK Metcalf was another one of like the old regime where they were just treading water. You saw there was a pattern here, released Lockett, traded Metcalf. I mean, they have an idea of where they want to try to go in the future. It did not involve him.
I think people tend to overrate Metcalf a little bit too, but that's just my personal opinion.
And I think Metcalf butted heads with the coaches a lot as well.
And now he's over in Pittsburgh. Have fun with that.
Yeah. But, I mean, on the topic of the wide receivers real quick, I think they're doing pretty solid still. I mean, Smith and Jibba had a breakout year last year, 100 catches, 1,100 yards.
How many freaking fantasy championships did he win?
Oh, man, dude, 1 million. So then they pair next to him the injury-riddled Cooper Kupp, who the games that he was able to play last year mustered up 700 receiving yards, 6 touchdowns, and he was also the second favorite toy aside from Puka Nacua. But an interesting one that I want to bring up is a kid that they drafted this year out of Colorado State. They got him in the 5th round. The reason he fell to the 5th round was because he was hurt last year. He missed most of the season, only ended with like 350 yards catching, 1 touchdown. His previous 2 years, 1,100 yards receiving, 8 receiving touchdowns, 96 catches. The year before that, 71 catches, 1,130 yards, 8 receiving touchdowns. He's 6'3", 185. So, if he could stay healthy, they may have gotten themselves an elite NFL caliber wide receiver.
What was the kid?
Torrey Horton.
Oh, okay.
If he doesn't get hurt last year and he puts up another 1,100-yard season with Colorado State, he's probably a 2nd-round pick at the worst.
Yeah, because right now their wide receiver. Now, look, Smith and Jigba is going to be their wide receiver 1. Kupp is going to be their starting slot receiver. So the second outside wide receiver position is a battle right now between Jake Bobo
Scanting
and hold on a second now, because Valdez Scantling last year went to the Saints for 8 games and had 385 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Exactly.
So he's definitely a guy that they'll try to see if they could take the top off of a defense with, but yeah. I'm not holding my freaking breath on that.
Yeah. No, they will. I mean, Valdez Scantling, he's never been great. He's always been a decent number 2, maybe number 3 option. I say decent number 2 as in the early years.
The early Packers days when they had
when they had no wide receivers. So getting 600 yards as a wide receiver 2 for the Packers was pretty impressive. Because, you just had Devontae Adams had 1,500. So.
Not to mention, they also drafted Elijah Arroyo, the tight end from Miami.
Yes. And they still got Noah Fant. I really hope that Arroyo gets more playing time early on. I don't know how they're going to run their offensive sets. I don't know if they're going to try to play 2 tight ends or if they're just going to go 1 tight end and rotate them. I don't know how it's going to go.
And then it comes down to their running game as well, because they have Zach Charbonnet
they do. And Kenneth Walker, the walking knee injury.
Oh, you see, you don't want to hear. I know he's only 24 years of age. Years of old.
His knees are feeling years of old.
I think Kenneth Walker potentially will be fighting for some playing time soon. Because they drafted Damian Martinez how Damian Martinez fell to the 7th round, I'll never understand. They drafted him out of Miami, and he's a big old 6 foot, 220-pound bruising runner. So I look out for that. I think the Seahawks actually have a nice little. They're building a nice little core there amongst their skills positions. Charbonnet's still young. Kenneth Walker's still young. Elijah Arroyo, they just drafted. Smith and Jigba's clearly going to be their number one. By the way, can we just say what a name this is? Look at this wide receiver, John Reese Plumlee. Like, my God, if that's not a name, that guy should switch to tight end because he'd catch 12 touchdowns instantly as a tight end.
Yeah,
Now, for a wide
6 foot tight end.
That's fine.
The world's smallest tight end of the world.
Well, no, there's a joke I could go with, but we'll get kicked off the air. Now let's go. Let's drop down to their defense. On the other hand, you know they still got a couple of veteran defensive linemen. You know they still have Jaron Reed and Leonard Williams. They have Jonathan Hankins. They signed DeMarcus Lawrence to a contract that is way too big.
Yeah, just like the Cowboys.
That is, we're not going to go there. They have Byron Murphy, who they drafted the year prior, the kid from Texas. Now, we'll see how bigger of a role he will have. They drafted Riley Mills out of Notre Dame. I'm pretty sure they drafted him. In terms of their linebackers, they've got they have Ernest Jones. They still have okay. Maybe they don't have much off-ball linebackers.
They still got old man Jonathan Hankins. He's hanging around.
Jonathan Hankins ain't worth two. Jonathan Hankins just doesn't stop. Zol brought up that Walker has the fewest yards before contact last year, maybe 2.
Yeah. No, I think he's right. The last 2 years, he's had such a downward spiral from his rookie season.
Well, it's like that guy. It's like Carson.
Yeah,
that was before him. It's like running back and the Seahawks don't go together.
Unless if you're Marshawn Lynch, maybe that's the problem. they just constantly get reminded.
Nope.
Of how good Marshawn Lynch was.
No. This is what they did. You didn't run the ball on the 1 yard line. We're going to curse every running back that comes in this building ever since.
Oh, my God. So that's why Pete Carroll retired and then came back.
And now they're going to ruin Agency.
Oh, dude, don't even get me started. Don't even get me started.
If you'd like to rant about that at the end of the show, you are more than welcome to. I would actually like to hear a Tyler rant. We haven't had one. I hope
Chip Kelly gets fired.
Well, okay.
Before the season starts.
Hold on. Calm down. Now, honestly, I'll tell you right now, in my opinion, I think the Seahawks' biggest strength of their defense is their secondary. They got Zy Alexander, who they drafted from LSU. They've got Kobe Bryant. No, not that Kobe Bryant.
Kobe Bryant.
Zol saying the beast mode curse. They have Julian Love, who they took from the Giants a couple years ago. They drafted Nick Emenwari from South Carolina in the draft this year. They have Devin Witherspoon, and they still have Reek Woolen. So I think the Seahawks, they may have a solid secondary going into this year. I mean, Julian Love had 106 tackles last year and 3 picks. Devin Witherspoon, in his second year, 98 tackles. When the hell does a corner have 98 tackles?
Yeah.
Reek Woolen, he's still trying to get back to his first year in the league where he had 6 picks, but he had 3 last year, and he's starting to get back into some where he used to be.
I know he was having a lot of maturity issues.
Yeah, welcome to the NFL, kid.
Yep.
And now you're going to add Emenwari to that secondary. That could be something.
Yep.
So same thing as the Niners. I don't really know what the Seahawks are.
I felt like I had a better idea of what the 49ers were than the Seahawks. The Seahawks? I don't know. I don't think they're going to beat you running the football. I think they have decent running back room, but they're not going to beat you running the football. They're not going to beat you in the trenches with their offensive line.
Yet.
I don't even think their defensive line is really going to beat you up.
I think you need a lot to go right there. Like, I think you need the kid from Texas that I mentioned earlier, Byron Murphy. I think you need him to take a step forward from his rookie year. I think Leonard Williams is still a monster, and he's going to be fine. You need DeMarcus Lawrence to stay healthy, since you gave him $40-something million freaking dollars.
And not be overrated.
I don't think he's overrated. The guy can't stay healthy.
He's overrated.
No, Tyler, when the guy was healthy in Dallas, he was a prolific pass rusher. Then
Hold
the
on,
injuries started piling up.
Hold on. So, prolific pass rusher.
Oh, here we freaking go.
Rookie year 2014. He only played 7 games. Fair. He didn't have any sacks. Whatever. 2015 was, I guess, his breakout year. Played all 16 games, 8 sacks. Cool. Followed it up, played 9 games the next year. Only had 1 sack. 1 sack in 9 games is terrible. Even though you got hurt, that's still terrible.
Okay.
Then he had a nice little run for the 2 years. 2017, played all 16 games, 14 and a half sacks. Dude was great. Followed up 2018, played all 16 again, 10 and a half. Then he played all 16 the next year, only had 5. I think that was the year he got the contract. I think he got an extension after those back-to-back double-digit sack seasons. And then he followed it up with that bum 5-sack season. Then in 2020, played the full season again, 6.5 sacks. Then he only played 7 games, 21, had 3 sacks. Then he played 2 full seasons in 2022 and 2023, only resulted in 6 sacks and 4 sacks. Dude's been an average pass rusher in the league. An average pass rusher with 2 standout seasons. He peaked. Let's see, what year are we in again, guys? He peaked like 7 or 8 years ago.
Well, okay. Well, why don't we make the case that he had 3 in 4 games this year? So how do we not know he gets 10 to 12 this year? The guy's body has broken down on him every year since that 10 sack season.
And that's why, like you just said, a lot of things have to go right. I don't see this going right for them.
Like, look, DeMarcus Lawrence on a 1-year deal, I'm all in on that. I would have been okay with that for any team to do it.
But how much did they pay him again?
Can you ever ask the damn thing when I'm on the damn phone? Why do you wait till I put it down to ask me this damn question?
Phone is never down. It's glued to your hand.
3 years, $42 million.
Okay.
For a 33-year-old offensive defensive end.
Like I said, overrated.
I think we're missing the concept of what overrated is, but okay.
Overrated is getting your big contract extension and having 5 sacks the next season.
No, overrated is getting $51 million from a team and then only having them being a healthy scratch in the Super Bowl.
Okay, that is overrated also. I'm not
overrated, buddy.
They're both overrated. One of them, well, actually, I guess they were both overpaid. At least they got Leonard Williams, though. At least they got that going for them.
Like I said, just a lot has to go right for the Seahawks.
Yeah.
Especially on the defensive side of the football. I think the secondary is going to be fine. It's everything else that's just a little concerning.
Yep.
But they're trying to revamp their team. Their old regime wasn't doing it for them, so they're taking a gamble. All right, now, I feel like we keep saying we don't know what these teams are. I think the NFC West may be the biggest question mark, because now let's go on to the Arizona Cardinals, another team, which I have no idea what the hell they are. So look, Kyler, fully healthy now. He'll be 2 years removed from the injury, so that's usually when you start them seeing these guys get back to their old self.
Yeah.
let's look at their positional groups here. James Conner still going strong at running back.
He's been one of the more consistent running backs.
He has
If not
been.
named Derrick Henry.
Ever since he got to Arizona, he's been like really good.
Yeah.
And it's also as a pass catcher too. I mean, he caught 47 footballs last year.
As a pass catcher, he's really improved in Arizona the last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Now you got year 2, Marvin Harrison. He had 8 touchdowns last year, 885 receiving yards, averaged about 14.
Outside of him, though, it's basically just
because Greg Dortch, Michael Wilson, what Zay Jones, what are we doing?
Oh no, there's another receiver on that depth chart. Don't you forget his name.
Keep looking. No, I want to forget his name.
No, come on. Who was it?
I want to forget his name.
Wes Watkins.
What is that bum gonna do?
Catch 1 touchdown in the preseason.
Nice.
Look, they're off. I mean, Zay Jones will probably be their number 2 wide receiver. Not sure what that does for you this day and age, but
do you think he is?
I mean, who the hell else do they have, buddy?
That Michael Wilson kid had 550 receiving yards and 4 touchdowns last year. I think that screams more wide receiver too.
Well, we know who the number 1 pass catcher on the team is. It's not even Marvin Harrison. It's Trey McBride.
Yeah, exactly. It's McBride.
It's not even Marvin Harrison. It's Trey McBride.
Exactly.
Now, dropping down into the other side of the football, I'm glad that Zolt brought it up. He said the scary thing is Arizona has revamped their defense. That alone could put them in contention for the division, and he's not wrong.
Yes, the defensive side of the ball. That's the interesting side.
Do you care for me to start that off?
Go right ahead.
Well, I love the fact that we're getting the Calais Campbell reunion. I'm so happy to see Big Calais back in Arizona. They brought in guys like Josh Sweat. They brought in Dalvin Tomlinson to help it with the run because their run game defensively was terrible. They drafted Walter Nolan, which still breaks my heart to this day.
Oh, I know.
But yeah, they brought Josh Sweat in. They drafted Cody Simon. They drafted Jordan Birch. They brought in some help to that defense. In the secondary, they have Budda Baker still. They drafted Denzel Burke. And I know Denzel Burke may not come across as a name that's like, oh, what's that matter? They've already actually hit a roadblock on their defense because Sean Murphy-Bunting has already been announced he's out for the season.
Oh.
So drafting a guy like Denzel Burke, who is a longtime starter at Ohio State, is big. But I still am going to take this to the grave. They got the biggest steal in the draft because they drafted Will Johnson in the 2nd round. Yep. Injuries I get, but Will Johnson potentially could be their number 1, one of the top corners in the league. And Denzel Burke could easily make a case to be starting opposite of him now that Sean Murphy-Bunting is out. You add that to Budda Baker, and Jalen Thompson's their other starting safety. He's coming off a solid year. And like I said, they needed help in the front 7 last year. Their front 7 was being gassed every chance it could. So what do? Like I said, they drafted Jordan Birch. They signed Josh Sweat. They draft Cody Simon. They freaking signed Dalvin Tomlinson. They draft Walter Nolan, and they freaking brought back Calais Campbell.
Yep. And then they still got guys like Zaven Collins, who gave them 5 sacks last year, had 2 forced fumbles.
Yeah. So Honestly, you could make the case that the Cardinals could be the number 2 team in this division right now.
They could and then you look at quarterback play as well. Kyler's probably not the most talented quarterback because I give that to Matthew Stafford, but probably the most explosive.
I say talent. Hold on.
You think so?
Talent-wise?
I'm talking like arm talent.
Kyler could chuck it.
I know he could chuck it, but I mean, Matthew Stafford's the proven guy here.
Oh, I agree with that. I'm just saying as pure talent and put everything together, I think Kyler's a little more talented.
Yeah, talent and potential. He's got to fully reach that potential. Which this year,
now,
this is the year to do it.
Well, yeah, because last year was mostly just trying to tell, like, hey, are you healthy? And can you stay healthy?
Exactly.
He lasted all 17 last year.
Yeah, he did.
And if you look at it on paper, like you said, they're going to have – who was their wide receiver 2 in receiving last year?
Michael Wilson.
Okay, so you throw him on one side, Marvin Harrison on the other. You got big Trey McBride taking up the entire middle. You're running the football with James Conner. And you're hoping that Jonathan Gannon knows what he's doing and actually can coach a defense. Yeah. Not sure that'll work out for you, but.
And they even got their little speedster, Greg Dortch. He's 5'7". He had 340 yards, 3 touchdowns last year. So he's their little Greg Ward weapon. I think that's the best comparison for him. Jonathan Gannon, man, he's got to have that Greg Ward somewhere. This guy's just named Greg Dortch.
You're a Dortch. But anyway. Zolt brought up that a better defense takes pressure off of Kyler, which I think will be huge for his game. It will, because the Cardinals last year had to outscore all their opponents. They didn't have the weapons to do it. I still don't know if they have the weapons to do it, because it's kind of all the same guys that were there last year. But they could not generate a pass rush at all last year.
Yeah.
Josh Sweat's going to help that, whether he's a number 1 edge rusher on a team or not. Calais Campbell's going to help that. Burks could develop and help that. Their run defense last year was terrible. Dalvin Tomlinson is going to help that. Walter Nolan is going to help both the areas in terms of pass rushing and against the run. Yep. Their secondary. Denzel Burke is a proven starter. He was just on the national champions last year. Is he the flashiest corner? No, but he can be a capable number 2 in this league, I think. And he's going to have to play early because of Murphy Bunting being hurt. Will Johnson is the biggest wild card on that defense. If he is healthy, and Zolt I guarantee you Zolt will agree with me. If Will Johnson is healthy, he is one of the top 10 most talented players in the 2025 draft. I will take that to my grave. If he's healthy, the Cardinals got probably their next version of Patrick Peterson. Because the dude is a stud when he's healthy. Just a damn problem.
You said the name. I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse. You said the name.
What?
Patrick Peterson.
What's wrong with Patrick Peterson?
No, that's why I said I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse.
Patrick Peterson, man. Prime Patrick Peterson was something different. But ultimately, the Cardinals' success will hinder on the shoulders of one very short man.
Greg Dortch.
Knock it off.
Hey, at least Kyler's not the shortest one on the team. I think that's why they got to keep him around.
I can't stand you.
Why
do you do this to me? What's up, Jeff? Jeff missed most of the Eagles talk, but he gets to hear us talk about former Eagles. Doug Sweat. Oh, my God. Good to see you, Jeff.
Well, speaking of former Eagles, there's another one on the next team that we have to talk about.
Is there?
I actually didn't know this until I just pulled up their depth chart. Britton Covey's on the Rams. When did he get released by the Eagles?
His contract was up.
Oh, man. I had no idea. I guess that just shows how unimportant he is.
Homie's about to have like 600 yards as a wide receiver 3. He's going to piss us all off. Hey, man, don't forget last year, Kellen Moore was trying to force feed that ball to Brayton Covey.
Yeah.
Which is ultimately why he got hurt.
So, oh, man. We saved the best for last to talk about. I think this team is both of our favorites to win their division.
Absolutely. The Rams are the best team in the NFC West, not even close.
So I'm really trying to envision in my head how this is going to go down with Puka Nacua taking over from Cooper Kupp being Matthew Stafford's favorite target to now, is Devontae Adams going to take over to become his favorite target? Or are they going to find a perfect balance?
Well, according to that list you showed me last week, Puka Nacua is a wide receiver 2 now, so it don't matter.
That list is ridiculous. AI probably
we brought that up on Dueling Aces last week.
It was probably generated by ChatGPT.
Well, George wanted to know, when did Mike Evans become a wide receiver 2?
That's what I want to know. A guy who's never had under 1,000 yards in his whole career, he's a wide receiver 2? Okay. And when I saw that, that's when I was like, all right, this list is just bull. Completely irrelevant.
Here's the other. I think the big question with the Rams is, who is going to be that third option in the offense outside of Puka and Devontae Adams? Because you got to think. Okay.
Tutu Atwell stinks. I'm done trying to give him credit.
Well, Tutu Atwell was given a 1-year deal worth $10 million this offseason, buddy.
Jeez. I mean, so here's the thing, right? He did have 560 yards last year.
He's got to go defend him again.
Right.
Uh-huh. Go right ahead.
But he also was the number 1 wide receiver when Puka and Cooper Kupp were hurt for I don't even remember how many games in the beginning of the season. So they asked this dude to be the starter. I don't even know who. I don't even think they still have the guy on the team who was playing next to him last year.
I don't know who you're talking about.
I don't know who it was either because he was a bum. But they were the only 2 receivers that were healthy. I don't know who it was. But he's definitely. If I saw his name on here, I would remember it. So he's definitely not even on their team anymore.
What's going on right now?
Let's take away the fact that Tutu Atwell had to be a air quote starter for a solid chunk of the season. I'm sorry, but he just. All right, I guess as a third option, sure, fine, whatever. We could just leave it at that. He's your third option.
Are we forgetting that they drafted Terrence Ferguson out of Oregon?
Oh, snap.
Attention, Mr. Higbee. You're soon to be traded ready.
Yeah, Higbee might be on his way out the door.
Hold on real quickly. What's up, Mike?
What's up, Mike?
Mike's in here with us. What's up, Dalton?
What's up, Dalton?
How you doing, brother? Dalton, are you celebrating the Bryce Huff trade? I just need to know, are you celebrating it?
Oh, yeah. It's a victory. Victory Monday.
Yeah, no, because I was sitting here looking at the Rams' depth chart. I'm like, wait a second. I'm pretty sure they drafted somebody else that I'm forgetting about. And yeah, they drafted Terrence Ferguson.
Yeah, I forgot that's where he went.
No, there's your third pass catching option. Sorry, Higbee. Sorry, Tutu. But Terrence Ferguson's here.
Yeah. So, I mean, Ferguson's not going to come in and be the starter right away. He's going to have to earn the job.
Oh, yeah. I'm not
now, I think Ferguson, he has a lot of potential as a receiver, and he's a good blocker. His highest receiving total in college was 591 last year on that loaded team. And then the year before that, 414, 391. So, he's obviously not instantly going to become, tight end 1. Could he be better than Higbee? I think he could develop into being better than Higbee, but I think Higbee's going to be that third option in that offense.
Can you tell in the chat that Dalton is extremely happy?
Oh, yeah. This is how every single Philadelphia fan feels, because that was just the worst. I don't know. Was that the worst move they ever made?
There's a couple more of that.
They've had some bad ones, but I mean,
we could do that for a show in the summer.
Yeah, a guy who barely did anything all season got benched in the Super Bowl and got to walk away with a ring.
All right, Dalt, honestly, we're probably talking about him right now. We probably agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, we, aside from the NFC North, we almost did all of our coverage of the NFC. If it's not the Rams, it's the other team that was the king of the NFC North last year.
The Lions?
Yep. Let that Lions team get a little healthier. Now, I get it. Don't want to get too far into our preview for when we do that show, but losing both your coordinators, that could change the aspect of the team.
Yes, but I'm also going to say I'm more afraid of facing Jared Goff. No, not Jared Goff. I'm not more afraid of Jared Goff than Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford scares me. Just remember, if it ain't snowing last year, who knows what happened?
Saquon runs for another 150 yards.
Okay, but Stafford probably doesn't throw the ball 50 yards out of bounds either on the fourth down play.
Probably.
The Rams, to me, are my biggest fear in the NFC still. But while we're still on them, so yeah, we've talked about their offense a little bit here. They're defensively, on the other hand, they got a front that gave us the fifth last year.
Yeah.
Take your pick. Brandon Fifth, great rookie year. Garrett Verse, Kobe Turner. Where else am I going here?
Poona Ford.
Poona Ford, who they've signed in free agency that'll help them with the run, because God knows their run defense was terrible last year.
Yeah.
Byron Young, who had 7.5 sacks last year. Like, they drafted Josiah Stewart. Somehow they got another good pass rusher.
I mean, they're farming pass rushers over there.
They drafted Chris Paul. No, not that Chris Paul.
Yeah, I still don't know how Jared Verse won the Defensive Rookie of the Year over Braden Fisk, but
I don't know how he won it over Quinyon Mitchell.
Yep, I don't know how but those are questions for another day. That'll never happen.
That's fine, because we got the ultimate prize.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I don't know about the Rams secondary still. They didn't do much to add to it. I mean, they still have Akella Witherspoon. They still have Darius Williams. Okay. I do like Cam Kitchens, the kid they drafted out of Miami last year.
Cameron Curl's solid as well. I think he's from Washington.
Cam Curl's biggest thing is he wants to knock you the hell out every time he's within 2 feet of you.
And I mean, hey, 9 pass deflections, that kind of adds up.
Oh, God, yeah, that translates.
And 2 forced fumbles. So, I mean, you got some gritty guys in the secondary who aren't afraid to hit you.
Dalt, I'm going to leave you with this. Never underestimate Howie Roseman. But seriously, like, these guys now, see, this is the problem. They have adapted to the Philadelphia Eagles way of doing this. If you look at their defensive line once again with Fisk, like I said, they brought Poona Ford over to hopefully help.
Yeah.
With their freaking run game. With their run defense. They drafted Ty Hamilton in the 5th round. There's another defensive lineman they added. They have Kobe Turner, who last year had 8 sacks. Like we also mentioned, Fisk had what last year? 8.5 sacks. Then if you go down to the rest of it, where am I at here? Verse only had what? 4.5, but that doesn't explain the impact he had on the team. Byron Young had 7.5, like I said, and they drafted Josiah Stewart. These guys somehow got more. They got They got a defensive front from hell to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
That's why their secondary may be a little weaker in terms of the teams in their division. But if the Rams put up 27 points a game, which with the guys they have should be easy to do, all they're going to have to do is get after the quarterback. All they got to do is let that front get to the quarterback, and it's over.
Yep.
Because they got dudes, and they got waves. They got 2 units that can get after you.
Yeah, the Rams are a scary team.
Not to mention, Kyron Williams, regardless of his fumble issues, is still a damn good running back.
Yeah.
And Matthew Stafford can still win big games. And I think the Rams, personally, are the best team in the NFC West.
Yeah, NFC West, definitely. I think they win their division. I don't think it's very close. I think they clear... I think they clear the 49ers by like 2 to 3 wins. And then... Oh, that's interesting, actually. Do we want to do some predictions for where we see everyone finishing out there?
Well, I think we can knock out the Rams. We have them finishing 1 in first place, I think.
Yeah, they're finishing 1.
Who do you think's their biggest threat? And then we'll go from there.
I'll be honest, not that I think Seattle's going to be a bad team next year. I see them finishing last in their division, possibly as like an 8 or 9 win team. I think next year this division has a chance to have a lot of winners. I see the Rams winning like 12 or plus games. I see the 49ers winning 10 or 11. I can see the Cardinals winning about 10 games next year. So, who knows? I don't know what the Seahawks could do. I see them maybe like between 8 to 10.
I have the Rams finishing first. I have the Niners finishing second, strictly because I trust that coaching staff more. Shanahan and Saleh put together, it's a match made in heaven. I trust that coaching staff more than the others. I like Seattle's. I think they're going in the right direction. It's a lot of moving parts in year 1. New quarterback, new running back, new wide receivers, younger rookie offensive linemen. It's a lot of moving parts. The Niners, even though they have moving parts, they're still so, like, there's a core there. Like, Bosa is there. Warner is there. Like, they have the guys that are going to and everybody on the offensive side of the ball has been there. Pearsall's been there now in year 2. Ayuk has been there. Jawan Jennings has been there. Kittle's been there.
Yeah.
I trust Shanahan and Saleh to be contenders in that division if they're healthy.
Yeah.
I have the Seahawks finishing third because I think they're more talented than the Cardinals.
Okay.
I think the Cardinals have talent. I am also picking the Cardinals to finish last because I still hate Jonathan Gannon, but that's besides the point. I think the Seahawks have a little more talent than the Cardinals. Well, you're fighting for third and fourth place. Talent means something.
Yeah, I guess. Not enough talent to get first, though.
Well, no, because none of the last 3 teams are the Rams. Mike's basically in the same boat. He's going Rams, Niners, Seahawks, Cardinals. Yeah, I like the Cardinals. I like all these teams. I think all these teams have had solid off seasons. The Rams are above because now their wide receiver core got upgraded because Devontae Adams is an upgrade over Cooper Kupp. I think there's no disagreement there.
With how Cooper Kupp's been injured the last few years, he's been a shell of his former self.
He hit that Triple Crown season. It was all over after that.
But Devontae Adams, just consistency year after year. He's been doing it for, God, how long now?
Didn't matter who the quarterback was. I just find it funny that him and Jimmy G are once again teammates.
I know. That's hilarious.
I hope nothing happens to Stafford. Devontae's like, yeah, I'm out of here. Devontae's like, I'm out of here. But even last year, Devontae Adams still put over 1,000 yards. He had 209 yards with the Raiders, and then he ended up having 854 with the Jets. So he still ended up putting up 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
The guy has been consistently one of the best wide receivers in the league.
Oh, yeah. No doubt about it.
What's up, Burnsy?
And that was 1,000, a little over 1,000 combined yards, the two teams, and he only played 14 games.
Oh, exactly. And 8 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I didn't know he had 7 touchdowns last year.
A lot of people didn't pay attention to the Jets after, like, the first 4 games.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, rightfully so. But, there were a lot more problems with the Jets than Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. There was a lot more
the owner.
Yes.
It's called their owner.
It's called the owner, coaching staff. What they did to Robert Saleh was disgusting. That's when it all fell apart. That's when nobody gave a shit about them anymore.
Nope. Well, since we're kind of wrapping up this week's episode with our NFC West offseason outlook, we talked the Eagles and Bryce Huff trade. Tyler, I think I want to give you the floor because I know there's something you want to talk about. You sent me this last week, and I know it's been itching at you since. There's a certain situation going on in Las Vegas that I know you're chomping at the bit to get to. I'm gonna do the people a favor. I'm gonna sit back, and I mean a favor because I'm gonna sit back and shut up for about 5 to 10 minutes, and I'm gonna let Mr. Adams have the floor, unfiltered to himself. Tyler, what do you have to say?
Unfiltered, we don't want to go there.
Oh, we can. Just don't go too unfiltered.
So I'm going to start this by saying, Chip Kelly, I don't give a damn what you came out after your interview because you felt like you needed to state this, that it wasn't your idea to make Ashton Jeanty change his running back stance in the backfield to a more traditional stance. He's one of the best running backs we've seen in a generation. And you're going to tell me that he needs to stand in a more traditional stance, and you're telling me, oh, it was the running backs coach who made him change it. You had nothing to say about it? Offensive coordinator, Chip Kelly? You didn't know about this. You had nothing to say about this. And you being the offensive coordinator, if you disagreed with this, guess what? That coach is under you. You go and tell him, no, he's comfortable standing in the backfield pre-snap, let him do it. Did you watch his college tape? Did you see what he did? Let him do it. But no, this is the NFL. It doesn't matter. Everyone has to be a certain way. Everyone has to follow tradition. So great. When he follows tradition and he's doing the standard hands on the knees pose in the backfield and he rushes for like 500 yards all season and everyone's calling him a bust, I hope Chip Kelly gets fired. I hope the running back coach gets fired. Hell, bring in his coach from Boise State. Let him coach the damn running back group. Because clearly he was doing something right. I can't stand Chip Kelly. I hated more so the fact that he felt the need to come out in an interview to throw the running back coach under the bus and say, oh, this is his doing. I was not aware of this. Shut the hell up. Who cares? You're the offensive coordinator, right? The offense's success hinges on you, right? The guy you drafted 6th overall, his success hinges on you, right? Chip Kelly's going to enjoy a nice, swift return to college football and in about 1 year. And I'm not even saying he's going to make it as the offensive coordinator for the rest of the season. That is all. Thanks for tuning in.
Damn. Tell us how you really feel.
Don't like Chip Kelly around here.
So wait, let me just ask, like, what is wrong with, like, you follow Ashton Jeanty more than I do. I love Ashton Jeanty. I'm not saying I don't follow him, but, like, what's wrong with his stance? Like, what was the problem? What did they have?
I don't know how many highlights you've seen, or maybe you've realized it from watching them play against Penn State. He stands up straight in the backfield. He came out in an interview. People asked, "Why do you do it? Is it to see the defense better pre-snap, to get a better view of the field?" He just said, "No, just comfortable, just more comfortable like that." So why are you going to try and take him out of his comfort zone?
That's like here's a perfect term for that, right? That's like teaching a baseball pitcher now, Tyler, I'm not sure how familiar you are with baseball pitchers, but you know what a knuckleball is, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you relatively know guys like R.A. Dickey, Tim Wakefield, they were traditional knuckleballers. If you are familiar with it, knuckleballers naturally throw slower.
Mm-hmm.
That's like trying to teach a knuckleballer to throw 98.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Maybe it's something minor, and it's not a big deal. But I just sat there, stared at my phone for a while, with Chip Kelly's smug look on his face, just wondering why. Why is this necessary?
Chip Kelly strikes the NFL once again. Ashton Jeanty will probably hate playing football in 3 years.
He might hate it before the season starts. He might go.
He probably already hates it now.
Yeah, he's probably. Oh my god, this guy's terrible.
Let me call Skaden McCoy up and see what he thinks. Well, Tyler, I'm glad you got that little rant out there. That was enjoyable. That was enjoyable. Besides that, do we have anything else we want to talk about tonight?
No, I think that's about it.
Well, all right then. Everyone, I want to thank you all for joining us on another very fun and exciting episode of 609 Sports Talk. We broke down the Eagles and 49ers trade of defensive end Bryce Huff. We did a little NFC West offseason outlook. And Tyler got to rant for the last 5 to 10 minutes on Ashton Jeanty and Chip Kelly. So, first off, we want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Zolt, Anthony, Matt, Dalton, Bernsey, Stephanie Padilla. So you put your comment in. Mike, Jeff, you guys all came back for this week. I want to thank you all for joining us. And you guys know, Carol, once again, have a great week. We will see you next week, as always.
Steve, yeah, I feel you, man. I really think that the Cardinals I did have them finishing third place in the NFC West, but not with a bad record. I still think they could be like a 10-win team.
Yeah, I still think like the NFC West outside of, I think the Rams are the number one. The rest of them are they're just something there. I think those other three teams are really going to be battling out for the whole year for second place. Thank you, Bernsey. Thanks for tuning in a little later with us. And Steve, thank you for commenting. First-time commenter, I believe. So thank you guys all for joining us tonight. Steve, since you came in a little late, do us a favor. Go back, rewatch this episode. Give us what you think. If you like it, hit that subscribe button for us. We greatly appreciate it. If you're not already a subscriber, not really sure, but still. Guys, we want to thank you all for joining us. We'll be back next week with another off-season outlook show. Who will it be? That's for you to find out next Monday. So, guys, thank you all for joining us. Have a safe rest of your Monday. Have a safe week, and we'll see you guys next time. For Tyler Adams, I'm Sam Nelson. Good night, everybody.